45 tons, 34 troops, a steel hull that could swallow 6 tons of cargo, drive off a ship through the surf, and keep rolling inland. The LVTP-5 was the biggest and most absurd amphibious combat vehicle the Marines ever fielded, and over 1,100 were built. Marines rode them into combat in Vietnam, sitting directly above gasoline fuel tanks. This is why the Corps built it anyway. Nearly 30 feet long, 12 feet wide, and 10 feet tall, the LVTP-5 was a steel giant that dwarfed anything else on the beach. Fully loaded, it tipped the scales at nearly 45 tons, heavier than a Sherman tank and twice as long. Inside, 34 Marines could sit shoulder to shoulder, with room left over for 6 tons of ammunition, rations, or even a jeep. The cavernous troop compartment was accessed by a massive bow ramp, designed to drop open and spill a platoon onto the sand in under half a minute. 3 crew members, the driver, the commander, and the gunner, sat in their own armored compartments and steered the vehicle through surf or inland mud. The numbers alone were staggering. One LVTP-5 could haul the equivalent of an entire rifle platoon, or replace 3 World War II-era Amtraks in a single trip. For the Marines, this meant fewer landings, faster build-up, and the ability to bring heavy equipment ashore on the first wave. The vehicle's size was not a gimmick. It was a direct answer to the Marine Corps' demand for overwhelming, amphibious lift, no matter how awkward the solution looked. Marine Corps planners in the early Cold War faced a stubborn reality. Most of the world's coastlines offered no friendly ports, no roads, and no infrastructure ready to receive a landing force. The challenge was not just getting troops ashore, it was moving enough men, weapons, and supplies in one coordinated push to seize a foothold before the enemy could react. Field studies like the 1952 Truck to Beach report made it clear that existing landing vehicles fell short. To land a full rifle company, about 140 Marines with all their gear in a single wave, the Corps needed a vehicle far larger and more capable than anything from World War II. Doctrine manuals of the era, especially Field Manual 3111, spelled out the requirement: a self-contained armored amphibian able to carry at least 34 troops and 6 tons of cargo, with enough speed to cross surf and push inland without pause. The Amphibious Warfare Division formalized these demands, insisting that the new vehicle must bridge the gap between ship and shore without relying on external support. The result was a design brief that prioritized raw capacity and immediate tactical buildup over elegance or simplicity. The LVTP-5's enormous size, then, was not an accident or indulgence. It was a direct answer to the Marine Corps' strategic vision of rapid, portless assault. The vehicle's bulk and awkward silhouette were the visible price of meeting that doctrine head-on. Food Machinery Corporation took the lead on the LVTP-5 contract in October 1953. Within 2 years, their engineering team rolled out the first prototype, moving quickly from drawing board to field trials at Camp Pendleton. The Navy Board of Inspection and Survey gave its approval in March 1956, and by October 1956, the Marine Corps officially accepted the LVTP-5 into service. Production didn't trickle in small numbers. Over 1,100 vehicles were built between 1957 and 1960, making the LVTP-5 a standard sight in amphibious units rather than a rare experiment. Assembly lines operated across 5 plants, but FMC's own facilities in Detroit and Ingersoll handled most of the work, churning out hulls, engines, and transmissions at a pace that matched the urgency of Cold War planning. The result was a fleet ready to move not just troops, but the entire concept of amphibious assault into a new era. The LVTP, it was no sideshow. It was a mass-produced asset, tested, accepted, and delivered in force, ready for the real test of combat. Dawn on August 18, 1965, found the coastline near Chu Lai bristling with anticipation. Operation Starlight, the first U.S. Marine assault of the Vietnam War, was about to begin. 11 LVTP-5 vehicles, each loaded with rifle squads, mortars, and weapons crews, rumbled off their landing craft and surged through the surf toward the sand. Lieutenant Colonel William Muir, commanding 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, watched as his men rolled ashore in vehicles unlike anything the Corps had fielded before. In his words, he said, "We rode out in the big 5-track LVT-5 vehicles. Every company loaded its rifle squads, mortars, and a few AT-4s. The LVTP-5 vehicles hit the beach in 3 waves, each vehicle carrying 12 infantrymen plus heavy weapons, enough to land an entire rifle company in minutes. As the ramps dropped, Marines poured out and set up within 30 seconds, just as doctrine required. The massive hulls, awkward on land but unstoppable in water, allowed the battalion to bypass the need for docks or roads. When enemy fire erupted from concealed positions inland, the LVTP-5 vehicles became mobile cover, their .30 caliber machine guns answering back while mortars fired from open hatches. Even as mines and RPGS struck 2 vehicles, the rest pressed forward, delivering troops and ammunition directly into the fight. The after-action report credited the LVTP-5 with making the beachhead possible. It said the LVTP-5 gave us a beachhead we could actually hold. We landed a whole rifle company with its weapons intact, something the old LVT-4 vehicles could never have done. Operation Starlight was not a test or a drill. This was the real measure of the LVTP-5's purpose, moving men, weapons, and supplies from ship to shore and straight into combat, no matter how ungainly the vehicle looked. On the ground, the LVTP-5's colossal size paid off in ways that went far beyond spectacle. Where earlier vehicles forced Marines to stage landings in piecemeal waves, the LVTP-5 delivered a full rifle platoon, mortars, and supplies in one trip. Numbers told the story. A single vehicle could carry 34 men and 6 tons of cargo, doubling troop lift and tripling payload compared to the old LVT-3. After-action reports from Vietnam noted that this allowed commanders to land entire companies in minutes, not hours, keeping units together and weapons close at hand. Veterans recalled how the wide, flat deck let them fire mortars and machine guns from inside the vehicle before even reaching the sand. When the ramp dropped, squads hit the beach with their heavy gear, ready for combat, not strung out in scattered groups. The LVTP-5's brute capacity meant fewer runs under fire, less time exposed in the surf, and faster buildup of combat power inland. Its ability to haul ammunition, water, or even a jeep alongside troops gave the Marines a logistical advantage that earlier generations could only imagine. The Corps saw this as proof that the ungainly hull wasn't just a quirk, it was a tool for real-world advantage, a reason to keep investing in the chassis and to spin off a whole family of specialized variants. Recovery was never an afterthought in the LVTP-5 family. The Marines needed a way to pull their massive vehicles out of the surf or off a battlefield, and the answer came in the form of the LVTR-1. Built on the same oversized chassis, the LVTR-1 replaced troop seats with a front-mounted winch rated at 12,000 pounds of pulling power, enough to drag a disabled LVTP-5 through mud, sand, or shallow water. Its 4-man crew included a dedicated winch operator and a mechanic, turning the vehicle into a rolling repair shop that could keep the assault moving even under fire. Production records showed that 65 LVTR-1 recovery vehicles were built, each carrying spare parts, tools, and recovery gear. In Vietnam, these recovery tracks became essential, hauling damaged Amtraks back to safety or wrenching them free from craters and ditches. The LVTR-1 made clear that the Marines saw their giant amphibian not just as a transport, but as the foundation for a whole family of battlefield solutions. The Marines did not stop at troop carriers. They turned the LVTP-5 chassis into something even more outrageous, the LVTH-6, a self-propelled howitzer that could swim. Imagine a 45-ton tracked barge, now topped with a full 105mm howitzer turret, firing while afloat, and then crawling ashore to deliver direct fire support. Only 84 of these gun-armed monsters were built, but their presence was impossible to ignore. On December 11, 1967, near Cua Viet, a platoon of LVTH-6s rolled out with Battery A of the 12th Marines. During a night assault, 6 vehicles unleashed a barrage of 105mm shells, blasting enemy bunkers from rice paddies and even firing from the surf. Corporal Bob Sanchez, a gunner that night, remembered the howitzer's roar echoing over the water. He described the surreal feeling of waves splashing against the hull while the turret hammered away. It was proof that the Marines would bolt a cannon onto anything if it meant more firepower at the beachhead. Inside every LVTP-5, the real danger was hidden just beneath the deck plates. 4 massive gasoline tanks sat under the troop compartment, an engineering choice meant to keep the center of gravity low, but one that made every ride a gamble. In Vietnam, a single mine or RPG hit could rupture the tanks, turning the vehicle into a fire trap with little warning. Official records show that 2% of all LVTP-5 vehicles lost in combat were destroyed by fuel-fed fires. The effect on morale was unmistakable. A 1970 Marine Corps survey found that 71% of infantrymen were reluctant to board the vehicle in contested zones, citing the gasoline tanks as their main fear. The Corps could not ignore these numbers. By 1972, a new generation of amphibious vehicle rolled into service, the diesel-powered AAV. With armored fuel tanks moved to the rear and improved fire suppression, the AAV was designed to do the same job as the LVTP-5, but without asking Marines to risk everything before the ramp even dropped. Gigantic, awkward, and undeniably real, the LVTP-5 family wasn't just an engineering spectacle. Its bulk delivered Marines into combat, but couldn't shield them from hard trade-offs. Today, every new amphibious vehicle still juggles brute lift and battlefield risk. Innovation, it turns out, rarely comes without compromise. Share your thoughts below.